I think that I'm going to hiding somewhere by a gated star. Baby, they ain't never gonna find me. I'm a renegade. I could be the one who saved you from this hard place. We could be as one and we'll escape. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. I can feel it, it burns inside me. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. Trust me, I won't let you down. I won't let you down. Yeah, I won't let you down. I won't let you down. Oh, I won't let you down. We could have the world to ourselves, going to a place that's far, staring at the stars for hours, 'cause you're a renegade. I could be the one who saved you from this hard place. We could be as one and we'll escape. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. I can feel it, it burns inside me. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. Trust me, I won't let you down. I won't let you down. Yeah, I won't let you down. I won't let you down. Oh, I won't let you down. Some gates never get to open 'cause it's too late. I could be the one who saves you from this place. Baby, they ain't never gonna find me, find me, find me. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. I can feel it, it burns inside me. We could run away, we don't gotta stay. I can feel it, it burns inside me. Take away the pain, we can go insane. Trust me, I won't let you down. I won't let you down. Yeah, I won't let you down. I won't let you down. Oh, I won't let you down.
I've improved by a whole grade.
I've improved
by a whole grade.
by a whole grade.
By a whole grade.
My teacher isn't just Mr. Maddock. It's a whole teaching team made up of James, Mike and Marta.
My classroom's all about doing and applying. My days standing at the front of the classroom with a PowerPoint are long gone.
I master every concept by learning at my own pace.
I spend 100% of my class time interacting and supporting individual students.
I move on only when the moment is right for me, not the whole class.
I know what each and every student is mastering and struggling on at every moment.
I know exactly what I need to learn next, and I can go back and review material at any time.
I spend my teaching time supporting and inspiring, not planning, delivering and marking.
I can learn from anywhere at any time.
I can switch off when school closes, knowing they are learning from the best.
My teacher has my homework marked before I get to class.
I set every piece of homework at the start of the year.
I'm 2 weeks ahead of my expected progress.
I can track everyone's progress with a swipe of a finger.
I can track my own progress and set my own targets.
I now have time to focus on developing the skills of every learner in my classroom.
I know exactly what it means to explain, evaluate and analyse, and I'm not afraid of any exam.
My lessons are now far more about the skills and the application, not just the content itself.
I've completely remodeled what it means to be a teacher in my classroom.
Hola, bienvenidos a la primera sesión de revisión. Yo soy Marta y conmigo en los controles tenemos a James. Hola, James.
Hola, ¿cómo estáis todos?
Yo estoy muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Sí, también.
Muy bien. Y también tenemos al cargo de las redes sociales tenemos a Mike. Hola, Mike.
Hola.
Hola. And we are the EverLearner. Here we are. So we will be bringing you this year PE and Spanish revision in preparation for this year's exam session or season, which I'm sure you're really, really looking forward to. Right, so let me give you a quick run through what's going to be happening in today's session. A few things I need to mention. The first thing I need to mention is that I will be switching between microphones. At one point, I'm going to use a canvas and I'm going to be using this little mic here. So you may notice a little difference in sort of volume levels. So you may just need to adjust it. That's all it is. The other thing I need to really stress, it's really, really important that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. This is basically the way we've got to keep this free revision going. So we would really, really appreciate it. We really, really encourage you to subscribe to YouTube channel and turn notifications on so that you also find out when sessions are happening and this sort of thing. That will also enable us to provide you with a much better experience, as we get more and more subscribers. The other thing I need to mention to you, notes pages. Your teacher will have been emailed with these notes pages to take notes and with some practice questions at the back. So you should have been provided with them. If you haven't, no problem. If you're watching the video, just underneath here, in the description of the video, you've got a link there. Click on the link and you will get the notes there. We really encourage you to use the notes. Why? Because while you're watching the video, it really gives you quite a good guide on what to note, what to write down, what's important and that sort of thing. So really encouraging you to do that. The other thing we need to mention, we really, really want you to interact with us. Sorry, I'm Spanish. What are you? So we want you to interact with us. How can you do that? 2 ways. First way, there are some interactive questions. Other than these practice questions, or from these practice questions that you've got on the note sheet, one of them has been made interactive for you. And we're going to show you now how you can access that. All you need to do is go onto our website, theeverlearner.com. And James is now going to quickly show you how you can do that. So you go to theeverlearner.com. You don't need to be subscribed.
You caught me unawares there, Marta. I wasn't
sorry,
ready.
You weren't paying attention.
Behind. So carry on. I was switched off. I apologise. Carry on.
So you go to theeverlearner.com, which is our website. You click on news. James, you can explain it if you want.
Yeah, I can explain away. Okay, so I clicked on news here, and you see here it's nice and obvious interactive questions over here. So click on find out more. Just have a little browse down here. GCSE P, some of you may be doing that, some of you may not be. There's a bit of A-level P stuff down there, and tucked away down the bottom, no offense meant, we have some GCSE Spanish material here. So if you click on session 1, which is the session we're on now, Estar, we can click in here, and effectively what you've got here is you've got a little bit of detail of putting your name and your school in, and then you've got some questions to answer depending on whether you're an AQA or an EdXL student. And now let me be clear, we want students answering these questions, please. It should be students answering these, not the teachers, and you can access these anytime. We're not gonna take these down, and what we're gonna do with really great answers, if someone puts a really great answer in here, we're gonna post that answer publicly. We'll get your agreement whether you want your name to be next to it or not, but it will be a really rich experience of sharing information with a community of people preparing for the Spanish exam.
Thank you, James. So this is the number one way that you've got of interacting with us, but there is another one, and that's through our hashtag revision break. We are going to have a couple of little breaks during these shows, and what are you up to during those breaks? What do you do when you are not fully focused on your revision, which is I know is most of the time, isn't it? So in order to do that, we want you to send us your pictures. either through Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. Use our hashtag revision break. And these pictures, you don't need to be on the picture. If you don't want to show your face, absolutely fine. Just show what surrounds you, what you're doing. Are you reading 18th century Russian literature, as I do? I don't. Or are you, working really hard on those interactive questions, as you should? Up to you. Teachers, you can participate in that as well. You can take pictures of your students, of course, with their permission, or of their settings if you don't want them to be on the picture. That's absolutely fine. And sorry, James, did you want to say anything? James?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just preparing something. I made another cock up. It's a bit embarrassing. You're doing really well, and I'm making a mess.
It's fine. It's fine. I just thought you wanted to say there was something important you wanted to raise. Okay.
I'm happy.
Thank you. And and by the way, we will probably give you extra points if what you're doing it has got anything Spanish related. If you take a break wearing a sombrero, go for it. Show us how you do that. And of course, for participating in interactive questions and also sending us your pictures, we've got a little prize, which is, you can see behind us, is roadmap stuff. A student pack of roadmap poster and roadmap guide. And some of you will be asking, what is the roadmap? The roadmap is the way we've come up in order to help you answer questions in exams. Funnily enough, Spanish is probably one of those subjects where it doesn't probably apply that much, because we haven't got that many explain, justify, compare, analyze questions. But you'll be surprised to know these are coming from a Spanish teacher, but I know that Spanish is not the only subject you've got. So this roadmap will help you in most of the subjects, any subjects where you have to do this type of activity: explain, justify, compare, analyze, which is most of them. This is a really great way of doing it. So, introductions done. I know I've gone on a little bit. It won't always be like this. So let me introduce the first little teaching session that I've got that I've prepared for you. So the first thing I'm going to explain, go through, is the family and friends. Focus on vocabulary. Okay. So I'm going to go and do that. As mentioned, you've noticed a little bit of difference on volume levels, but just adjust it as necessary. Okay. So I'll see you after this one. Thank you. So let's start looking at family and friends, familia y amigos, thinking of how we describe ourselves, okay, or what do we do when we need to give our own information. So this is what we would do when someone asks for datos personales. Los datos personales, very commonplace in maybe listening or reading, where we are being asked to fill in a form or some sort of documentation. Okay, so we've got here un carnet de identidad. Remember, ID card in Spanish. And if the information is Marina, Marina es el nombre. Marina es el nombre, o el nombre de pila, Christian name, nombre de pila. López Sánchez son los apellidos, And remember, in Spain, people tend to have two surnames. 15 de noviembre de 1995, remember how we express dates, es la fecha de nacimiento, date of birth. 22 años es la edad, super important word for age. Valencia es el lugar de nacimiento. Nacimiento, birth, lugar, place, birthplace. Calle Ebanistería número 25, and notice how we abbreviate the word número, number in Spanish, es la dirección, address, la dirección. España es el país, remember the word for country, país, y 03008 es el código postal, postcode. Now, if we move on to talk about our family, and we want to describe our family, of course, we've got the word la familia. We are familiar with that, but we've also got words like los familiares. I don't know what's happening with my pen. Hold on a second. Here we go. Los familiares, relatives, or los parientes. Los familiares, los parientes, both words for relatives. And remember that los parientes, it's not the same as los padres, okay? Los padres, parents, los parientes, relatives. We can also talk about los miembros de mi o de la familia, family members. Okay, so we've got here already the most common words that we may encounter when talking about family, el abuelo, la abuela. Do remember that el abuelo y la abuela, if we want to mention them together, would be los abuelos, using the masculine plural. The same with la madre, el padre is los padres, etc. So we've got la tía, el tío, el hermano, la hermana, el primo, la prima. Pretty straightforward. But there are other words that, especially if you're sitting higher, you may want to, you may need to know, okay? And it's words that express people seen from other perspective, not from the perspective of the child, as we've got here, but maybe it's from the perspective of other people. So, for example, if I'm this gentleman here, if I'm el abuelo would say, esta es mi nieta, la nieta. Este es mi nieto, el nieto. Y estos son mis nietos. ¿Ya? El abuelo diría, este es mi hijo, my child, el hijo, y esta es mi nuera. ¿Sí? Daughter-in-law. Esta es mi hija y este es mi yerno, son-in-law. Okay? Seen from this lady's perspective now, for example, she would refer to this gentleman as el suegro, father-in-law. And this lady here, for her, is la suegra. Esta es mi suegra, mother-in-law. Equally, these two children, this girl here, would be la sobrina. So she would say, esta es mi sobrina y este es mi sobrino. And in relation to these two people, for example, this lady would say, esta es mi cuñada, sister-in-law, y este es mi cuñado, son-in-law. Okay, so some of the words that you can add to your repertoire of members of the family, and maybe if you're writing, you may want to use some of these, and also listening, reading, you may encounter some of these words. Okay, also worth remembering what happens when families split up, mums and dads remarry. So really important to remember words like la madrastra, el padrastro, la hermanastra, los hermanastros, okay? Stepmom, stepdad, stepsister, stepbrothers. Do remember that if I want to say that this is my dad's wife, okay? If I want to say my dad's wife, I need to be careful with this hyphen, apostrophe S, as this doesn't exist in Spanish. So I would say, esta es la mujer, o la esposa de mi padre. Okay, esta es la mujer de mi padre. And I could say the same about this gentleman here. If I want to say my mom's husband, I would say el marido de mi madre. Okay, and other words to remember related to family, if I want to refer to these two brothers who are twins, that's the word for that is gemelos. Okay, estos hermanos son gemelos. Okay, now if I'm describing people, let's move on to describing people by their hair and their eyes, which is something very common that we will want to do in, like, for example, speaking assessments, picture description, or if we're doing writing as well, we may want to describe family. Really important in that case is that I know really well my verb to have, verb tener, okay? Tener is to have. So really important that I know that if I want to say I have, es tengo, you have, tienes, he or she has, tiene, we have, tenemos, you guys have, tenéis, they have, tienen. If I'm going to be describing hair, the next thing I'm going to need is el pelo, okay? El pelo. We've also got in Spanish another word for hair, which is el cabello. It means the same. You can use it interchangeably. Nothing changes. It doesn't matter. And then we've got a series of adjectives that we can use to describe that hair. If we start at the bottom, we've got different colors that we can use. So rubio, blonde, castaño, brown, rojo or pelirrojo, ginger, gris, gray, negro, black. Other than by color, we can describe it by style. So we could say ondulado, wavy, liso, straight, rizado, curly, or we can describe it by length. So I can say tengo el pelo largo, long, or corto, short. So if I wanted to describe my own hair, I would say, so if I want, I would of course be using tengo because I'm describing my hair, so I'm going to say I have. So I would say tengo el pelo castaño, tengo el pelo castaño, largo y liso. Order of the adjectives in Spanish, not important. The only important thing is if you've got something like 3 adjectives, like here, we've got a comma between the first and the second and an E between the second and the third, okay? So an E before the last adjective. So tengo el pelo castaño, largo y liso. I'm sure that most of you have worked out that my hair is brown, castaño, largo, long, and straight, liso. If I want to describe, for example, her hair, so I will assume her hair is long, wavy, and ginger. Let's call it red. She's got red hair. So I will say, because I'm describing her hair, of course I will use tiene, because I'm talking about she. So I will say tiene el pelo long, largo, wavy, ondulado, y ginger, pelirrojo. And if I wanted to describe, for example, the twins' hair, because I'm talking about them, I need to use the they form, okay? So, of course, I'm going to say that they have blonde, curly, short hair, in whatever order I want to mention those adjectives. So, of course, if I want to say they have, I'm going to take the tienen el pelo short, corto, blonde, rubio, and curly, rizado. Okay, so regardless of who's got the hair, okay, regardless of whose hair it is, we're going to remember that always when we're describing hair, all the adjectives are going to be in masculine, singular, because hair, whether we use pelo or cabello, they are masculine, singular words. Of course, this changes slightly when I'm describing eyes. Why? Because generally speaking, people have got 2 eyes. So of course, when I'm describing eyes, I'm going to be using color. So of course, I've got verdes, green, azules, blue, negros, black, grises, gray, marrones, brown, all of which are in plural, masculine plural, because los ojos, which is what I need in between, is a masculine plural word. So if I want to describe my eyes, which are brown, I'm going to say tengo, because I'm talking about myself, I have the eyes, los ojos, brown, marrones. If I want to describe, let's say she has blue eyes, So in that case, because it's she has, I'm going to say tiene los ojos, and we said blue, so azules. Okay, azules. And if I wanted to say you guys have, let's say, green eyes, I would choose this one. You guys have, sorry, and would be tenéis los ojos verdes. Okay, so really important. Do remember, how to describe hair, eyes. Of course, if you know how to describe hair or eyes, then it's really easy to transfer that skill to describing someone's ears or nose or lips. You just need to find the right adjective and just use the right structure. Tengo whatever, las orejas for the ears. Tengo las orejas grandes. I have big ears. Tengo la nariz ancha. I have a wide nose, and so on and so forth. So the same structure you can apply to anything. The other thing you also should remember is that, of course, I'm not only going to describe someone present, like in the present. I could also describe someone in the past. So I may want to say that my grandma had grey eyes. So I could say mi abuela tenía los ojos grises. My grandma, okay, mi abuela tenía los ojos grises. She had grey eyes, and I'm using here imperfect because I'm describing someone who's not around anymore. Or I may want to describe my perfect partner. So I could say mi pareja ideal tendría el pelo largo. My perfect partner would have long hair, and here I'm using tener in the hold on for a second, in the conditional form. Okay, would have. My ideal partner would have long hair. Okay, so notice how we're not tied to the present tense, but in this case we're using the present tense. bienvenidos de nuevo. I hope you enjoyed this first little session on family and friends, and I hope you found it useful. Of course, the amount of vocabulary is big. It's impossible to go through it in 15 minutes, but my intention is to get you started, to get a few reminders, get you started, give you a little bit of a guide, and then you can take it from there and do revise more and more. Of course, from here, where should you go? So things that you need to really be aware, you need to know. You need to revise, firstly, basic vocabulary. Those things that you would have learned in year 7 or year 8, they are still crucial because those words haven't disappeared. Those words will still appear in exams, listening, reading. So do please remind yourself of them. And things like madre, hermano, they're still super important. Also cognates, okay? Cognates, those words that look pretty similar to the English word, but in that case, don't only look at them, also pronounce them and try and guess how they would be pronounced the Spanish way. Okay, it's no point looking at something and thinking, oh, that looks like in Spanish. If then it sounds when you pronounce it in Spanish, it actually it looks like in English. If you pronounce it in Spanish, it sounds very different from the English. So do train yourself as well to think, how would this word sound? You can even play a little game and take a word in English and try and produce it and pronounce it the Spanish way. It can become quite funny, but actually it's really useful because then when you hear those words, you know what they are. And finally, then there are those more obscure words, especially if you are entering the higher exam. You will see on the list in the specification that there are some words that are rather obscure, but do go through them and do things like, for example, create sentences, put them into sentences, and that will help you recognize them and remember those words rather than just like a standalone word. Okay. Also really important, I've gone through a few adjectives to describe looks, to describe personality, but really do go through as many adjectives as possible. Okay, it's really boring to hear people going, mi padre es simpático, mi madre es aburrida. It's really boring. I'm sorry to say, but it's really boring. So if you can use more different adjectives that are going to make it interesting, that's going to give you higher chances of getting a good grade. Okay, and together with good adjectives, also things like muy. Okay, it may change the sentence slightly. So, for example, mi padre es muy simpático, o mi padre es bastante simpático, o mi padre es demasiado aburrido. Okay, and even better, also use negatives. Mi padre no es simpático. Mi padre no es aburrido. Okay, these are little tricks how even using boring adjectives you can actually get quite nice descriptions. Right. So now next thing, Mike, have we got any questions coming in? Anyone's got any issues?
Yes, we have a question on Twitter.
Oh, hold on, Mike. I haven't opened your microphone. Right.
You hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Good. There?
Yep. Thank you.
Good. We have a question on Twitter, which is somebody just saying that they struggle to remember lots of the vocab. Do you have any tips for how to remember vocab?
Yes, this is actually, remembering vocabulary is one of those things that some students seem to struggle with. The first thing I would say is don't just read lists, okay? If you just read through a list, it ain't going to happen. You are not going to remember those words, okay? You need to do something. So you can either handwrite those words, okay, as you are learning them, handwrite them so that your hand remembers how it feels and what it looks like on the paper. Also, things like make yourself your own lists, of course, of those words you struggle most with. You can also make sort of audio lists so that you can, when you're walking down the street, you can listen to yourself going through a list of vocabulary. Also, of course, making an effort with pronouncing it the Spanish way while you're, I don't know, doing the dishes, tidying up your bedroom. I know that doesn't happen often, but you never know. You just go and, you can be doing two things at a time. Also, putting new words into silly sentences. Silly sentences, things that you find funny, are sometimes the best way of remembering vocabulary. So go for it. Okay, let's say you remember the word salchicha. sausage. Okay, you find a problem with that. Okay, put it in a sentence. Tengo un perro salchicha. I have a sausage dog. That you might find it sort of, cute or whatever. So that will help you as well. And also use apps and websites like Memrise or Quizlet. That will really be useful for you to create your own vocabulary lists, which of course you're revising as you're creating those lists. Of course, you also do the revision while you're using them. You can share those lists with anyone you want. And also, Quizlet also let you listen to the words. So in Spanish, read in Spanish to you. It's a bit electronic, but at least it's better than nothing. So do use those. Okay. Now, the next thing I would like to mention, I've already mentioned our website, the EverLearner.com, and on it we've got the brand new Spanish grammar course, both for Edexcel and AQA. So we would like, because we know you're not familiar with it, so we would like to give you a little demo, so that you can have a little look at what it looks like and what you can use it for. So James is going to do that for us. James, whenever you're ready.
Marta, I'm somewhat more interested in by your ideal partner with the long hair. Is there anything before I do this, is there anything I need to know?
No, I don't think so. No, it's probably, what you would probably find is that it's the first thing that came to my head when I was going through hair.
Okay.
Yeah, through descriptions. But don't worry, nothing to worry about there.
Okay, to everyone else who doesn't need to be on the end of my jealousy, what I want to show you here really is we've got this case happens to be the AQA GCSE Spanish grammar course, and what we want to show you here is kind of what that looks like. And if you come and take 2 weeks free trial on the EverLearner.com as an individual, you teachers out there, you can sign up your students for free on here as well. Bear in mind what you're actually going to get exposed to and how it's going to help you. So here we've got a course page. See here, it's at the AQA version. And for example, if I go into lesson one, let's go into lesson one. If I go into here, and I want to start learning singular and plural forms, I can go into this environment here. And importantly, what I've got here is, I don't think we're going to get any audio out of this, but I have Marta, who's just been with you, teaching us all of the content in this video format. So it's super useful to have Marta as your teacher, which I'm sure you can appreciate. Secondly, from here, you can also make online notes. Someone was asking a moment ago about learning vocabulary. Look, you can actually, I'm just going to scribble stuff here, but you can bookmark your text against the video. And notice down here, it is actually bookmarking that content against the video content that Marta's teaching. Okay, now I'm just gobbledygook here, but nevertheless, this can be really useful for you. And of course, you can see all of your notes and download all of your notes, or you can jump to different parts of the course and learn, in this case, about definite articles, and Marta can teach me all about that thing. Okay, so you get the idea. This is super rich for you. Now, if I go back to the course a second, I can also go into nouns, and I can also go to singular and plural form, and I can go into practice mode, which is going to give me a load of questions. It's just for me as a student, no one's going to see it. Or if I've got a teacher, if I go into test mode here, for example, I'm going to get I'll tell you about assignments another time. If I get this question here, I'm going to try and write the plural of el transportador. I didn't really prepare myself for this, Marta. This is stressful. Transportadores. That's really disappointing. Should have been los.
Exactly, you got the article wrong there.
I got the article wrong there. You get the point. But anyway, I can keep going, and this is going to test me. Notice that I'm time phased here. I can pick answers here, and I've got to try and get these things right. So, there's a few places that you guys can go to as students to take questions and do some quizzing. But ask yourself this question: If I go back to the course for a second, how many of those websites provide you Marta as your teacher in, say, prepositions? Okay, how many of those websites are providing you one of the best teachers that is available in this industry to do this for you? And I would argue that it's nobody. So it's something for you to consider. You can use it completely free for 2 weeks before your exam. Then you can cancel it if you want. Use and abusers. But you really need to have a look at it. Teachers, if you're interested, you can sign up all of your classes, all of your students, and you can track in detail everything they're going to be doing. Okay, so you can track in detail what they're doing. We'll show you that another time. Okay, I think that's all from me, Marta.
Okay, Thank you very much, James, for this very comprehensive. Well, no, actually, it's not that comprehensive. We could spend hours talking about the website, but it's good that you've got the first, the most important ideas of how how it works. Now, without further ado, oh, that's very English, isn't it? Let's move on to the next part of the session, which is where we're going to be looking at the most grammarly bit of the session. So I'm going to be going quickly through present tense, just to remind you of how it works if you've forgotten or never quite understood it, and also the verb ser and estar. And when we use ser, when we use estar, I know it's a pain, I know, but that's how it is. So let's have a quick look at it, and we'll be back after this little thing. And remember as well to adjust the volume, because again, I'm moving onto my canvas and the volume levels might change. Okay, I'll see you in about 15 minutes. So here we've got the canvas, and let's start looking at what we use the present tense for. So the present tense, we use it to talk about things that are happening now, or to talk about things that happen regularly. Regularly. I struggle to spell this word. So things that happen now or regularly. And these are the three types of endings, the three lots of endings that you should be familiar with by now, depending on whether a verb ends in AR, in ER, or IR. And what do I mean by this? So it means that when I look at the verb in the dictionary, the form that I find in the dictionary, infinitive, ends in AR, ER, or IR. Okay? So if it's a verb like hablar, AR ending, these are the endings that I'm going to use in the present tense. So I speak will be hablo, you speak, hablas, he or she speaks, habla, we speak, hablamos, you guys speak, habláis, they speak, hablan. Okay, same thing with comer for ER verbs. So I eat, como, and so on. Como, comes, come, comemos, coméis, comen. And then vivir, does vivo, vives, vive, vivimos, vivís, viven. Now, these are only examples, okay? These are only patterns that we are going to apply with all of the regular verbs, okay, in the same form with all of the regular verbs that follow this same pattern. So what do I mean by this? That if instead of the verb hablar, I have the verb saltar, okay, and I want to say we jump. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do exactly the same as I've done with the verb hablar. And what have I done? I've taken the verb, I've got rid of the last two letters, the AR, and in its place, I've put the ending that I need. So what do I need to say? I need to say we jump. So in Spanish, remember, I'm not going to really very often use that word we, and instead I'm going to express that idea with the endings. And what are the endings? In this case, the we endings of AR verbs is amos. So instead of saltar, I'm going to have saltamos. If instead of saltar, I had the verb cantar, and I wanted to say they sing, I would take away the AR, I would take the AN ending for the they ending, for the they form, and I would say cantan. And the process is exactly the same, whatever ending you've got. Of course, if instead of an AR verb, I have an ER verb, like comer here, but if instead of comer, I have beber, and I want to say he drinks, okay, I'm going to take away the ER ending. Because it's a he, I'm going to take this one, and it's going to be bebe, he drinks. If instead of vivir in the case of IR, I have the verb salir, to go out, and I want to say they go out. So I'm going to take away the IR ending, and in its place I'm going to put the EN ending because it's the ending for the they. So they go out will be salen. Okay, so really straightforward. You just need to remember the endings for the present tense. Okay, so regular verbs, easy peasy. Now things get a little bit more complicated when we start looking at some irregular verbs, and the most common irregular verbs of the two verbs that I will find most often is ser and estar, which mean to be. Okay, in English there is one verb to be. And forms of the verb to be are I am, we are, they were, we will be. In Spanish, we've got two. So we're going to now look at the forms, what they look like, and what do we use them. So let's start with the verb ser. Ser is here. And these are the forms of the present of the verb ser. So if I want to say I am, I'm going to say soy. You are to one person. Talking to one person, I'm going to say eres. He or she is. We are, somos. You are, sois. Again, in this case, talking to several people. And they are, son. Notice that it is a very irregular verb. And the only thing you can do in this case is just learn it and get used to using it. Now, let's look at when I use ser, okay? When I use ser instead of estar to say things like I am, we are, etc. So if we start looking at these examples, we've got in A, we have two sentences. Soy Juan, I am Juan, and somos hermanos, we are brothers or we are siblings. What are we doing here? Here we are introducing or identifying or presenting. Okay, in this case, I'm going to use the verb ser, soy, somos. So we're using these two, in this case, two different forms of the verb. Soy here, somos here. Okay, so if I'm saying this is what it is, this is that, I'm going to use ser. When else am I using ser? I'm using ser here. Son las 3, it's 3 o'clock. Es tarde, it's late. I'm using ser to talk about time, to tell the time, to say what time it is. I'm using ser. The next example down, son 20 euros, it's 20 euros. ¿Cuánto es la comida? How much is the food? To ask or give prices, the price of something, I'm going to use ser. The other case where I'm going to use ser is here. La fiesta es en casa de Alfonso. The party is at Alfonso's house. El concierto fue en el estadio. The concert was at the stadium. What am I doing here? I'm saying where something takes place. Okay, where something takes place. And if you notice here, I've used, this is the past tense. What I've used here, I've given you the examples, okay, I'm showing ser and estar in the present tense. This is the present of ser, this is the present of estar. But of course, these verbs have got all the different forms. They've got future, they've got preterite, they've got imperfect, etc., etc. So I just wanted to show you an example of another tense, okay? In this case, the preterite. El concierto fue en el estadio. The concert was at the stadium, okay? So we can use that as well. So in this case, we're saying where something takes place, we're using ser. The next one down, el vaso es de cristal. El vaso es de cristal. The glass is made of crystal or of glass, or the glass is made of glass, really. And los zapatos son de piel. The shoes are made of leather, or are of leather. So to say what something is made of, okay, to talk about the material, what something is made of, we're also going to use the verb ser. If we continue down, soy de Guadalajara, I am from Guadalajara. Ana y yo somos portuguesas. Ana and I are Portuguese. What are we doing here? We are saying where somebody is from, or we are talking about someone's nationality or origin. Okay, in that case, we also use ser. Okay, we also use ser. And we've got a couple more cases. Andrés es cocinero. Andrés is a cook. Yo antes era recepcionista. In this case, notice this is the imperfect form. Before, I used to be a receptionist. What are we talking about here? We're talking about jobs or professions. Okay, in that case, we also use the verb ser. And finally, Miguel es bastante tímido y yo no soy muy alta. What we're doing here, in the first sentence, Miguel is quite timid or quite shy, and no soy muy alta is I'm not very tall. What we are using is describing. Okay, we're describing, and we are giving we're going to say permanent features. Okay, describing permanent features about someone's personality or about someone's appearance. Okay, if someone's not very tall and you're an adult, it's unlikely that's going to change. If someone is quite shy, it's also quite unlikely that's going to change. So in things that are permanent or relatively permanent, we use the verb ser. Okay, so do remember all of these. It's quite tricky sometimes. I know it can be quite tricky sometimes to remember exactly every single case where we use ser. But if you remember some of these sentences, okay, when you have to say, for example, the time, is it es, okay, if you remember the time, that if you remember that you say son las tres, you will know, okay, yes, in time it's ser. Or if you remember, I don't know, es muy alta, that's ser, okay? And if you remember examples rather than a list of cases, that's going to help you remember better and be able to apply it, okay? So let's have a look now at estar. So the other verb to be. When do we use estar? So we're going to use estar for, if we look here, el hotel está en la costa. The hotel is on the coast. Estamos en casa de Luis. We are at Luis's house. So what we are talking about is location. Okay? Location, where something or somebody is. Okay? Different from where something takes place. Okay? Bear that in mind. Where something is the verb estar. Los perros están ladrando o está lloviendo mucho hoy. The dogs are barking and it's raining a lot today. What are we doing here? Here we're using the present continuous. Okay, present continuous. So the dogs are barking. It's that form of the are plus the ing. It is raining. It is raining with the gerund, with the ing ending. Okay. If we're using that tense is, or that form is made with the verb estar. And finally, if we look at the last example, we've got estoy muy cansada. I'm very tired. Estamos enfadados con María. We are annoyed with María, or we are angry with María. And el suelo está muy sucio. The floor is very dirty. What we are doing here is describing, okay, we are describing, but we are describing non-permanent features or moods. Okay, so I am annoyed. Estoy enfadada. That's not permanent. That's not part of my personality. That is, this is how I'm feeling at the moment. So I'm going to use estar. Okay, here el suelo está muy sucio. The floor is dirty. Being dirty is a temporary condition that can be changed. Okay, so we use the verb estar. Let's remember that there are lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of adjectives that you can use to describe people, both in personality-wise and also physically-wise. And that it's going to be really important that you know as many as possible of these for your picture description, for example, or for when you're writing to be able to describe someone really well. So remember that if we are using the verb estar, if we're going to use someone's to describe someone's personality, someone's mood, how they're feeling at that point, okay, important that we can remember words like, for example, animado, cheerful, animado. Things like we could also have deprimido, depressed, if someone is feeling not that well. Of course, this is the masculine form, but of course it will have the a if it's the feminine form. We could also have words like triste, sad, or contento, o contenta, feliz. We could also say estar de buen humor, to be in a good mood, or de mal humor, to be in a bad mood. Okay, so remember we've got lots of personality adjectives and expressions that we can use. And equally, if we're describing, not personality, mood or frame of mind, or the way you're feeling at that point. And there's also lots of adjectives that we can use to describe someone's personality. We can say that someone is, for example, egoísta, selfish. We can say that someone is atrevido or atrevida, very daring, that someone is optimista, an optimist, or pesimista. Remember, the adjectives that end in ista don't change, okay? They're the same in masculine and feminine. We could also say that someone is hablador,
very chatty, or that someone is, for example, I don't know, perezoso or perezosa, lazy, or that someone is, I don't know, let's say desagradable. Es desagradable, son desagradables, okay? All of those, because they've got to do with what a person is like personality-wise, we're going to use the verb ser, okay? Of course, also with adjectives such as guapo, good-looking, feo, ugly, alto, bajo, tall, short, viejo, old, nuevo, new, okay? Anything that's describing someone or something physically, we're also going to use ser.
Hola, y ya estamos aquí. We're back. And again, I hope that was useful. I hope for most of you it was just a matter of sort of refreshing your memory. But who knows, maybe for some of you, you really needed a little bit of, things explained a different way so that, your eyes are open and the penny drops. Okay, so please do remember, after you've now, after you've now watched this revision session, do remember that you've got practice questions on your note sheets. Okay, so do get practicing. Do get, practice is basically in languages. It's all that matters. Practice. So do it, and do remember also to complete our interactive question for the chance to win some roadmap stuff. So James, Mike, what did you think of the revision? Did you learn lots?
Well, I did. I considered myself occasionally someone who has a go at a Spanish language. So for me, it was kind of useful. But I wanted to ask probably what is a fairly fundamental question. It's always a fear I have of kind of anglicizing my Spanish, which is probably not that unusual for the students that are listening to this as well. I wanted to ask about the gerund. So for me, if I want to say I am speaking, for example, I guess what you would really instruct me to say is I would say hablo, okay? But my kind of Englishness wants me to say estoy hablando. Are they both genuinely equally correct, or is one is estoy hablando, is that anglicized and effectively kind of not as accurate?
Well, James, that's a really good question. So both are correct. So if I want to say I am talking to you, I can say hablo contigo or estoy hablando contigo. Estoy hablando, which is what we call the present continuous, in case you've heard this somewhere down the pub, unlikely. So the estoy hablando, the continuous, that gives the impression of something happening right now, actively happening right now. So you can use it in Spanish, but we don't use it as much as you use the I am speaking or I am talking in English, okay? Also, you can't use it in any case when, for example, in English you would use the for example, I don't know, this afternoon I am going to, I don't know, I'm going to my grandma's. So when you use it to say what you're going to do, so an intention, you can't use Spanish in that way. Okay, you could use the normal present, voy a casa de mi abuela, you could use it, or you can use the future, but never estoy yendo a casa de mi abuela, because that only means I am right now going to my grandma's. Okay, so that's the main idea. Okay, make sense? Mm-hmm. Brilliant. Yes.
And can you just clarify for me? You used a form of tener, which was tenía. Just clarify for me. Is that that's past tense? No.
When did I say?
Was that not in the little clip? Have I imagined it? I may have imagined it. Did you not use tenía?
Tenía, yes, in the yes, when I was talking about the physical description.
Okay.
Yes, I used also, because when I was making the point that very often when we do physical description, when we go through physical description, we tend to do it or teach it as teachers in the present tense. So we tell students how to describe someone's appearance now or someone's personality now. But of course, I wanted to encourage students to also, to remember remember that they can also do descriptions in the past tense. They can say what someone used to look like, what someone was like. So, for example, if I say tenía el pelo largo, this person used to have long hair. Or, I don't know, or I could say, I don't know, será, I don't know what I could say, será guapo. He will be handsome. That will be in the future. Okay, so these descriptions, they don't always have to stick to the present tense.
Será guapo. Está parejo ideal con al pelo largo. Esto, ¿no?
Sí, exacto. No. Okay. So, just a couple of reminders before we finish the session today. Reminding you of the hashtag revision break pictures that we want you to send to us. You've got up until the start of the next session, which, by the way, is on Thursday 4 till 5. So do get involved, do tweet or send us or whatever, Instagram us or whatever you call it, your pictures. We want to know what you get up to, okay? And the other thing... Oh, yes, of course, subscribe to YouTube, okay? Make sure, remind you that you remember to subscribe and also to turn on notifications, okay? It's really, really important for us.
I think you're too nice to say, Marta, but I'm going to say it to all those out there. We can only do this for free if you guys subscribe. We genuinely appreciate you being here, especially during the day, on a school day and all that kind of thing. But that is the deal. Let me be clear. Let me be crystal clear. That is the deal. We provide this for free, and you subscribe to our YouTube channel and you follow the things that we've got coming up. So if you value this as a student, definitely, as a teacher, you really should. Then you need to support our work by doing that. So you're too nice to say it, Marta. I'll be bad cop. It needs to be done. Get subscribed and switch those notifications on. Thanks.
Fantástico. Okay, so they said, all I need to say, muchas gracias por vernos. Hasta pronto y mucha suerte con la revisión. Nos vemos el jueves. Adiós.
My music, but you tear me to pieces. So where does it come from? The scene that keeps playing on repeat ignores the rule of thumb. Oh, where does it come from? Oh, where does it come from? All your emotions with your heart on your sleeve, it won't fade until you paint it black. I let it burn, you call the fire brigade, but I feel that it will come back. Oh, where does it come from? Oh, where does it come from? Oh, where does it come from? Oh, where does it come Just look at the state we're in. I breathe you in and I can tell where I end and you begin. Where I end